Hello, this is Sharon Sarago again, and today we're going to do shift in mood. Now, we've done shift in tense, shift in voice, shift in person, and now we're going to talk about shift in mood. I know that the likelihood of you ever having any instruction about mood is really rare. It's very unlikely, but we're going to learn about it. So, here's a definition. A shift in mood occurs when the mood of the verb shifts from one mood to another. I can't help it. Though correct, this sentence makes me want to laugh. Every time I read it, I want to break out laughing. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever unless you know what we mean by the mood of the verb. So, we actually have three moods of verbs: indicative, imperative, and subjunctive. Now, you may have learned about these in your foreign language studies, but I doubt seriously that you've learned it in an English class. The one we use most often is the indicative mood. This is the one that we use to make a statement. Almost all of our verbs are used in this mode. So, when we're making a command or a request, we use the imperative mood. And then the subjunctive mood is used when we want to express a wish or to express something contrary to fact. So let's take a look at the indicative mood. Whenever you're building basic sentences, you are more than likely using the indicative mood. The verbs in that mood can be present, past, or future tenses. For instance, the verb begin has the following forms, all used in the indicative mood: begin, begins, began, begun, beginning. Look at this example. When the clock begins to strike 12, we will know a new day has begun. You're beginning to see the situation clearly now. This is still an example. We began working on the house a month ago. So they're just very basic sentences, the things that we use every day. You also use the imperative mood a lot. The imperative mood is used for making commands and requests. The verbs in this mood will be the infinitive form of the verb. And just a reminder, the infinitive form takes the word to with it. It's also the form we use for the present tense. So they look like this: to go, to run, to speak, to see, to dance, to study. It's always that verb, the basic form of it, and the word to with it. When we make a command or a request, this is the form we use, but we leave off the to. So we could say, please shut the door. We don't say please to shut the door. I think they might in Britain or somewhere, but over here we just say please shut the door. Will you answer the phone, please? When you get a chance, call your mom. You see that all of these are commands. You must turn in your essay no later than Wednesday. But all of these verb forms are from the infinitive. You might think of it as the present tense, but they're the infinitive form. But just remember, the imperative mood is one that gives commands. And then we have the subjunctive mood. This is the one you're going to get tested over. The subjunctive mood is used for expressing a wish or something contrary to fact. This mood is not used as often as the other two. However, this is the one you need to know for the SAT. It is a very formal structure in our language, and the SAT is testing standard formal grammar. Normally, the subjunctive mood applies to only one verb, and that's be, the be verb. Basically, you will have only two words to worry about, be and were. Be is for the present subjunctive, and were is for the past subjunctive. The subjunctive were usually comes after the words if and as though, when a wish or something contrary to fact is expressed. Looking at some examples will help you understand. Now, I don't want you to be scared to death of this. You do not ever have to know the names of these. I mean, nobody's going to ask you about, well, what is the subjunctive, what is the imperative, what is the indicative. English teachers might like to play with that, but you do not have to know those names. However, you certainly do have to know how to use them and how to recognize when they're correct. And the subjunctive mood is kind of strange. Here's an example. The principal suggested that you be admitted to the student committee. You see how that word be is setting in there? All right, because of his behavior, the warden recommended that the prisoner be punished. The secretary asked that she be given a raise. I'm pausing because we don't generally hear this kind of language too much, but I'm promising you also you're going to see it. And then the past subjunctive examples say, if I were you, I would be careful about what I say. You cannot say, if I was you. If I was you is absolutely wrong. If I was you, it has to be, if I were you. Okay? Now, I know that we say, I was here, I was there, I was looking. We say I was all the time. And you might want to laugh about thinking about saying I were, but with this past subjunctive, you have to. If I were you, I would be careful about what I say. If you were a bit more talkative, I would find it easier to get to know you. He spoke as though he were an authority on the subject. You cannot say he spoke as though he was an authority. It's got to be as though he were. Remember that these past subjunctive words come generally with the word if and with the phrase as though. If I were you, he spoke as though he were. You said something yesterday that I really wish were true. Frankly, I wish Miss Brown were my teacher this year. All right, we're going to practice this. So you may need to print your page a couple of times because this is going to be new and it's going to be what I would just call counterintuitive. However, you're going to read each of the following sentences for shifts in mood. If the sentence is correct, write correct in the blank, and if the sentence contains an inappropriate shift in mood, then make the correction in the sentence. Here's your first sentence. If I was a musician, you should stop right there because when you have that word if, you cannot say if I was. It has to be if I were a magician. I could entertain people at parties. All right, so read these carefully, and it doesn't make any difference if it sounds weird to you. If you get used to it, it's going to be because you read them enough times. So you've got quite a few of these, and you can pause your video right now and do those sentences and then come back if you like, or you can just keep on going. And keep on going because we have our test-taking practice here, and you see that we've got underlined portions. Just notice that this test is over the shifts in tense, voice, person, and mood. It's not just mood all by itself. Excuse me for that. And we've got 13 questions, it looks like, on that, on these shifts. And then you're going to have your passage-based testing. And you'll have underlined portions of it that you get to find the best way to say it. And then, of course, you're going to have your answers here. So go ahead and do your exercises, check your answers. And I'm almost certain you're going to have some questions to ask me when we get together on our webinar. Just mark them. And remember that this is new. Do not be afraid of it. Just go back and look at it again. All this information is on your printed materials too. And the more you look at it, the easier it's going to get. So I'll see you in a couple of days with some new stuff. And I look forward to talking to you and finding out how you did on it. Bye-bye.